and welcome to the Wright Perspective. Today, we're going to recap and discuss a 1975 American coming-of-age comedy drama film, Cooley High, starring Glynn Turman and Lawrence Hilton-Jacobs, written by Eric Monte and directed by Michael Schultz. The movie was considered a major hit at the box office, grossing over $13 million on a $750,000 budget. Filmmaker Spike Lee included the film on his essential film list entitled List of Films All Aspiring Filmmakers Must See. And it's important to say this movie was also ranked number 23 on Entertainment Weekly's list of the 50 best high school movies. And for some people, these accolades will be enough to consider this movie a classic. But today, we will determine whether it is a classic from the Wright Perspective. We'll do a recap, we'll discuss the movie, and then we'll take a vote using a voting symbol picked especially for this discussion. But we got to start with intros. Kick us off, bro.
Hi, I'm Aubrey Wright, and I'm the oldest.
I'm Genia Wright, and I'm the middle.
Hello. Is it me you're looking for?
It's not. It's definitely not.
It's
I can
definitely.
see it in your eye.
You don't see it.
That you're looking for Brittany, and I am the youngest.
All right, guess what it's time for before we go on. Guess what it's time for?
What?
It's time for Genia Explains a Random Object. And
That's theme music now.
And the random object I have chosen.
Oh, I didn't know we were doing this.
Of course not, because it's all up to me, and I do it randomly. That's the point. And it's going to be real quick. It's just going to be like 30 seconds. So the one that I picked today is the Kennywood arrow.
Whoa! Good choice, bro.
Yes. I love that arrow.
All right. Anybody who is from Pittsburgh is already going like this at seeing this little sign, because y'all, Kennywood is our Pittsburgh, the people who live in the city of Pittsburgh, this is our theme park.
Yes.
And all throughout the city, they have signs like this pointing you to Kennywood. And they're up all the time, all year round. And so you're constantly seeing this little arrow around the city saying Kennywood that way, Kennywood that way. And I had not gone to Kennywood it had to be over a decade. And I went recently a couple of years ago, and I was in the gift shop, and I was looking for a magnet, because I have a top-notch magnet collection. Maybe I'll show the people one day. I like a magnet. I like a magnet. But there it was, this foam Kennywood. It is so prominent, and I was like, no, this is like a Pittsburgh. Like, don't y'all get a warm fuzzy as Pittsburghers?
I did. That's what I was saying. I was looking at it. I was like, yeah.
Come on, bro.
And when I see Kennywood, it just makes me think about potato patch French fries.
Yes, bro.
And supreme funnel cake.
Oh, hallelujah.
I'll see. I'm
That was fun,
I'm driving to Pittsburgh.
And the double cones. The double cones that are dipped in chocolate with the nuts.
Oh,
listen, what y'all need to know about Pittsburgh, honey?
Brittany, I forgot about those.
Listen,
those were so
Listen,
good.
my left side hasn't. Let me tell you something.
So
Pittsburgh,
good.
as we were growing up, this is a still town. Listen, we didn't care nothing about calories. Pittsburghers, if it can have fries on it, it is on there. That's pizzas, that's salads, that's sandwiches.
We put the fries on
everything. Okay.
We do.
So when you go to our amusement park, you better believe, just be there the whole day, because you're going to have to wake up from your itis a little bit, and then you're going to have to be able to go back on the next ride.
And all I know is me and my friends, we had a new short set every time we went. All through middle school, all through high school.
When it was time for the picnic.
We would get short sets.
Had to get fresh.
And we would be coordinating, girl, your shirt's gonna be blue, yours gonna be red, yours gonna be pink. And we thought we were so cute.
You get a wristband. And to show that you went to Kennywood that weekend, you keep your wristband on.
Keep it on, baby.
Keep it on.
Keep it on. Because it was a metal clip with a rope, so it could stand a couple of times.
It was quality.
Listen.
And can I say one more thing?
You don't see wristbands like that anymore.
Look, I want to say one thing, and this is so fat.
Listen, it's going to be
but
wonderful.
At Potato
Patch,
Potato Patch, you could get cheese on your fries, or you could
Gravy.
get gravy. So whenever I would go to Potato Patch,
or both.
Brittany, why are you trying to steal my thunder? Can I finish? So,
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Can I finish? Little sisters. All right. So,
hello.
I couldn't really decide. So every time I went, I would get one with cheese, one with gravy, and one with both. That's bad.
Oh, you would get all three of the fries?
I would get one with
Bro.
gravy.
And what our
cheese.
viewers need to know is that one serving of Potato Patch fries at Kennywood was actually 3 servings.
Like it's like
It wasn't
potato.
that bad. It wasn't that bad.
Well,
Listen.
it wasn't that good.
Well, over the years, of course, the portions have gotten smaller because of whatever. But listen, again, Pittsburgh is just not a place where we don't play with our carbs and our starches. Do not come at us.
Man, those
We
were
got
quality
pierogies,
potatoes.
we got fries, we got bread, we got bagels, we got pizza.
Quality
Do not
potatoes.
come at us. Okay.
You
All
know?
right, so I'm sorry that I derailed this for a second. Well, I'm not. That was
Listen,
great.
it's good
So yeah,
times.
it was real random. All right. So let us continue. But that was good. That was a great story, sis.
Yeah.
I'm really jealous I don't have a phone, Kennywood. All right.
Yeah, that was good. Good one, bro. I love
That was a good one.
All right.
So do you remember where you were? That's the question. Do you remember
I
where
do,
you
because
were?
we just did intros.
All right, so let's get it.
And now it's time to pick our voting symbol, y'all, for Cooley High. Okay. And I will just say, like, I love when we do a hood movie. When we have talked about what makes a hood movie a hood movie, one of the attributes that we've, kind of said was important was for the movie to have the neighborhood as almost like a character in the movie. And so that thinking is what influenced my first recommendation for voting symbol. And my first recommendation is, wait for it, the corner. Okay. Well, why the corner? Because the corner is where the people hung out. All right. The movie used the streets to show us the nature of the neighborhood, the nature of the times. We were able to get a sense of Chicago. We were able to get a sense of the 60s. We were able to get a sense of the economic status of the characters and the life that they were living, of the energy of their neighborhood, because they put so much movie of their social life on the corner. Okay. And also, I would say that the corner could also symbolize being at a crossroads. Okay. And young people that are about to graduate from high school, listen, that's what this movie was about. It was about young people at this important crossroad moment. Where were they going to go? Left, right, straight? What was going to happen? That's my first recommendation.
Nice.
My second recommendation is less about the neighborhood, but more about that little friend group and a little custom they had. And it is wine in a bag. Now, I do need help understanding what kind of wine comes in that kind of bottle that can go in that bag. But anyway, wine in a bag. Okay. Why wine in a bag? Well, first of all, it was, when you think about young people trying to be hip, trying to be cool, trying to come up with those little social mechanisms that make you think you're hot to trot, that's obviously how these guys embraced like drinking and smoking. It was for the fun of it. It was the cool thing we're doing now. And it was so much about young men and their bravado. The other thing is that there's something about an object being hidden in a bag that is about like hidden potential or maybe burgeoning potential. And I think like that bottle in the bag, it's also to me could symbolize those young men. And the fact that we were just on the verge for all of them of seeing who they were going to turn out to be as adults. And they were bottles in a bag, weren't they? Okay, so those are my 2 recommendations.
Well, I can tell you the second one gave me a little more of the Genia. You're starting to get too good at these, which is frustrating me because I like I need at least one good Janaya one every time. I want you to go deep every time. But even though you went deeper than I feel is necessary, the only one I could think of was as well the liquor bottle. And I also felt that was kind of the start of what ended up being the major plot line in this movie, because they got drunk to go to the quarter party, which had, the fight, and which kind of set these things into action. But I do think The Corner is a better, personally, so far, I like The Corner. But what about you, Britt?
Listen, as I've been sitting here with my extensive time that I've had to choose,
and I love that you do it on
these
the spot.
voting symbols. All I could think to myself was, I was like, what did they consistently do in this movie? And I was like, they were tricksters. And I was like, how do you even put that into a symbol? And I still don't have any idea. All I was thinking was like those masks where it's like one is smiling and one is sad, like that you would put on like a playwright.
Well,
and I'm like, these are little tricksters. Like,
look, if you wanted to talk about them being tricksters, it might be $1. And the reason why it could be $1 is because they tricked the prostitutes.
I was like, y'all
so
are
a dollar bill.
Y'all are so bad.
Or the fake badge.
That's good.
I was just like,
a Lone Ranger badge.
Yeah.
Definitely a
because
symbol
I
of
was
them
like,
being tricksters.
Them jumping on the back of the bus, them doing, but just from the beginning, him like putting the red stuff on the thing so it could be like he has a nosebleed. Right. I was just like, y'all are just some little mischievous kids.
They're just little tricksters.
You know what?
They were little tricksters.
I think I like the badge.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like that because Brittany is right that it represented their whole mindset, which ultimately ended up in the tragedy at the end, because they were playing around. They ended up in that car. It's either between the badge or the Lone Ranger badge or the corner. So what do you think?
I like them both.
Between those?
I like the corner.
Corner?
Corner?
I like the
corner. All right. So we're going to see if the movie's on your corner. Let's get it.
Yes. All right, y'all. It's time for the recap. If you're new to the Wright Perspective, it truly is a recap. Spoilers everywhere. Cooley High is set in 1960 Chicago and tells the story of a group of high school students that centers around two young men, Richard Cochise Morris, who's played by Lawrence Hilton-Jacobs, a local basketball hero on his way to Grambling University on a scholarship, and Leroy Preach Jackson, played by Glynn Turman, who is a really smart kid that doesn't apply himself, but dreams of a career in writing. Both are in their senior year and nearing graduation. Cochise is not a straight A student, but he plans to graduate, and Preach seems pretty indifferent about graduation. In fact, he makes several comments about dropping out and leaving home. In terms of their social lives, they spend a ton of time hanging out with their friends on corners, talking, bit of drinking, bit of smoking weed, or they're at each other's homes, or they're going to the zoo or movies or parties. And really, they spend a good amount of time chasing girls. Okay. The movie really spends, a good amount of time ensuring that you can feel the energy of the times and of their neighborhood. They live in a lower income neighborhood, and we get a chance to see both the good and bad that comes along with that. We see all of the related blight and struggle, parents working multiple jobs. There references to public assistance. We see hustlers and streetwalkers. We also, though, get to see a tight-knit community where everybody is looking out for each other on some level. And we see optimism in their hope for the children. One evening, Cochise and Preach take a joyride with two local hustlers in a stolen car. And while they get away in the moment, the police do manage to track them down. And all four guys get arrested. But a teacher, who's actually played by Garrett Morris, manages to get Cochise and Preach released immediately with no charges. Because he kind of vouches for them. He has relationships at the police station. He vouches for their potential, beyond the current circumstances. And the other two, the two hustlers, they eventually get released. But by then, they've decided that Cochise and Preach must have ratted them out in order to get their charges dropped and to get out quickly. And so, as you can imagine, the two hustlers are angry. Okay. So first they track down Preach, who manages to get away. And then they track down Cochise, who does not manage to get away. And they beat Cochise. They beat him until he is a crumpled mass on the ground. And just before he takes his last breath, they run away from the scene. Preach finds Cochise's body. And, the way that the scene is constructed, we get to see that any innocence he has left in him, it leaves him. It leaves him in that moment as he sees his friend dead on the ground. And the community gathers for Cochise's funeral. But, Preach doesn't go to the funeral. He kind of watches from afar. And after the crowd leaves, Preach approaches the casket, which has already been lowered into the ground. And he pours a little wine out for his friend. And he reads one of his poems, something he would never do for Cochise while he was alive. And we get a sense that, he's leaving town at that point to go to LA to become a writer. And then the movie uses captions to tell us that that is indeed what he does, that he leaves town and he does make his way to LA, and he does actually become a writer. He does accomplish that goal. And that's how the movie ends. That was a tight one to recap, y'all.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into it.
That was it. Let's get into it. I'm wondering, y'all, what I have a discussion prompt.
Okay.
What was your favorite thing about the movie, and what was your least favorite thing about the movie? And it could be anything. It could be a character. It could be an actor.
I like that. All right. Well, Brittany seems like she's still in deep thought. I will go first. My favorite thing about the movie is that I felt like it probably did a good job of creating the atmosphere. Even though I don't know, obviously we weren't alive, but it gave me a feeling that it might have done a really good job of actually depicting the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So that would be my favorite thing. I would say my least favorite thing was probably the acting by the store owner who was chasing people out with the cleaver.
Martha.
Yeah, because it just didn't feel, I don't know. Like that stuck out to me as it just didn't feel real. It was just,
Yeah.
And it wasn't even, it was almost like they weren't, like they knew she wouldn't use it, but they weren't, it was like they were trying to act like she would use it, but they kind of knew she wouldn't. I don't know, it just didn't land for me. And then they did it multiple times. So that would be my least favorite.
Yeah, I could see that. It was a forced moment, and other moments felt very authentic.
Pretty much,
when you're naming it, I reflect on it now and I see what you're saying. I agree. Yeah. Her whole thing was very forced.
I would say my favorite moment, or be multiple, just whenever they were doing something that was really mischievous and silly. From them, sneaking, making a scene to sneak out of class, from them stealing the peanuts. And I was just like, why are y'all so bad? Jumping on the back of the bus to get to where they were going. They were just about in this town,
they were tricksters, like you said.
They were just tricksters. I appreciated that because it showed just the youth, just how you just having some fun. Yeah. I'm skipping school. I'm having some fun with my friends. I'm not hurting anyone. I may be doing a little theft, but just a
just
small
a little
amount.
fast.
Just a
Just a little.
tablespoon.
Just a tablespoon.
It's a little bit.
I did not like, my least favorite part, I did not like is how women were treated in this movie. How these poor little, I was like, what is going on? And I was like, why are they treating all of the girls terribly? And I was just like, this is really annoying to me.
Yeah.
And I think it was probably more so annoying because I'm like, ooh, has things changed? When did this movie come out? And I was just like, oh no, what we haven't moved forward.
Also, my least favorite thing. It distracted me in this movie.
So distracting.
The way that the little girls were portrayed. And but again, I had some time to reflect, and what I have told myself is that the movie was almost written from the perspective of a high school boy. And so this is how I've made myself feel better about the way the girls were portrayed. It's because that is probably how the high school boys, these little boys, were perceiving these girls. They truly were really just manipulating them and using them interchangeably. And the girls were just taking whatever was given, just taking it. Oh, he wants me today. He don't want me tomorrow. He played my face right in front of me. All right, he's back. Okay. And so
two of Cochise's women that he slept with, they was at the funeral holding hands, getting in the same car. I was like, this is very conflicting. I don't know what to do.
It was troubling. It was troubling. And but what I will tell you, one thing I really liked about the movie was the use of music. I felt like they did a good job. There were times, because the movie, if you didn't know from any other indication that it was in the 60s, you knew because of the soundtrack. And they did it, the way that they did it was really great, because part of it was music that would actually be playing real time in a room, in a space. They're in a party, the music is happening. But other times it would be the soundtrack. But either way, it was like Motown was with us through the entire movie. And it just kept me in the mindset of the 60s.
This was my overall feeling of watching Cooley High. Now, Janai, correct me if I'm wrong. Janai is our local historian, and she actually likes to study. She had a 4.9 grade average, both y'all, degrees and all that stuff. But so I know you might know this. Was this the original? Is this considered the first Hood movie?
Bro, it's so interesting because I saw at least one list that said it was the first Hood movie, but there were other lists that qualified other movies that came before it. There was at least one list that went even back into the 60s.
Okay.
Naming Hood movies.
So I haven't done a research on this, but I've heard people saying Cooley High.
Me too.
Is the
beginning, the quintessential, So my problem was, I felt like they were talking about how successful the movie is, and how much it made based on this small budget, and I just didn't see that. But I think the problem is I didn't see it in 1975, and there are elements of this movie that I think were probably very impactful at the time. Sure.
And even the way that they were interacting, like you said, with women and different elements, I feel like it might have spoke to the time more than, so it's hard. I just watched Clear and Present Danger for the first time, which is an action movie with Harrison Ford. And this was it was an early 90s movie. And this is the first time I've seen it. And they're pulling up these computers, and it's just I'm trying to get into it. But I know if I saw it in 1994, I would have been feeling the same way as when I see a really sick computer now. So I'm saying some movies, it feels like you can't really feel it the way people would feel it then. And I feel like it would have been like Friday. And we haven't done Friday yet, right?
Not yet.
No.
I think we should, my suggestion, I think we should do that one next. And the reason why I'm saying it is because I feel like it was a day in the life, basically, of these kids. And I feel like the way I felt in Friday is probably how they felt when they were in Cooley High. But I'm telling you, it's like right now, as soon as he opened up that letter that said he got in to school on a scholarship, I was like, oh, well, he's dead. Like as soon as I saw it, because now we've seen so many
movies. I had
movies.
the same thought.
But I'm saying, if it was the very first movie I saw,
right.
I don't think I would have been feeling that way. You know what I'm saying? And like, there's been so many creative ways that they've done that. Now. You know what I'm saying? Like when we're talking about Boys in the Hood, I did not expect Ricky to get, and it was so ingenious because in that little moment, first Ricky got shot in the knee. And I was like, they're taking away his football career. Oh my God.
And already that was enough
I was already devastated. And it was like, nope, guess what? He's catching another one right through the chest. And so I'm saying they found ways to make these plots more, like for a more seasoned person who's watching it. So, but I honestly believe if I was watching this in the theater in 1975, when he got killed at the end, I think it would have, like, they're killing high school students. Yeah. Like it might have thrown me. So that's my overall thought, is that I don't know if this is a movie I could get the full impact of.
That's really interesting, bro. One of the things that I think is really like a positive of the movie, or I don't want to say a positive, but a strong aspect of the movie. It's probably something else that at the time was very, very special. And that is how realistic the the situation was. I mean, I just felt like we really were looking at some kids in a neighborhood, and
it was almost like watching a reality TV show.
Yes,
someone was just walking around the neighborhood with them.
It was just real friends having a good time. There was a level of authentic interaction between those people, and not just the main characters. It was when they were even engaged, except for I think with Martha again, bro. Now that you pointed it out, but in their engagement with each other, like even with the people on the street, like there was just a level of rapport that was so community. And I just think that that's something really special to accomplish, especially when you have a cast of young people, to be able to get them to make those kinds of connections and for it to come through so authentically. And so I wonder if at the time,
they were in their late 20s.
Okay, so when they were is that why Glynn Turman looked 45?
No, he was 27.
Okay.
They were in their late 20s.
Okay.
And I was just like, this is why y'all look like y'all are married with children.
I forgot. I'm changing my least favorite thing. That was my least favorite thing. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
But him especially. Like,
he looks so old.
You look like you are a preacher. No, as soon as he came on the screen, I said, okay, you're up there with Morgan Freeman and Cicely Tyson, where you just always looked mature.
Yeah.
I had to do that.
Never been.
I wonder why. I just wonder why they made that choice. I feel like there had to be, because like with Friday, we know Chris Tucker now, but you got to think, we didn't know Chris Tucker when he was in Friday. Like that's what really launched him. And it just seems like that would have been because of the nature of the movie, like Brittany was talking about, like it's just like following around some real high school. So it seems like they could have used some unknowns, and had
How much notoriety did Glynn Turman have at the time, though? Like, I don't know. I didn't like research where like Cochise
What
and
he was
Preach were those
doing.
actors, where they
that's
were
the
in the arc
case,
of their careers. What if this was their?
but if that's the case, it
But
makes
if
the
they were
casting choice
unknowns, then why cast
even
these
worse.
kids?
Yeah, that makes the casting choice even worse.
Well, you know what though? I think sometimes they do it for legal things. Like, I'm about to put these children into some questionable situations.
Now that's a good point.
I don't actually need a high school student that is about to be filling this girl up in the corner in the hallway.
But you could have got a 21-year-old.
It's true.
18.
There you go.
It's very true.
Because that happens.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That
like,
definitely happens.
20, 21-year-olds who look younger.
And you know who else looked old? And I wonder how old she was. The love interest for Glynn Turman's character. She also looked like we worked together. Like, she's 40. I was like, what?
Oh, you mean
she didn't look young at all.
I mean, from her clothes
her name was
to everything.
Brenda.
I want to look that up. Because you're talking about the
girl he liked.
The main character, the main love interest.
Yes. And it's important to say main because they were just touching on anything that would let them touch.
Listen, at that one point that when he took her virginity because he was going to win $1.
And then told her, I just.
How do you, that is like the most amazing Freudian slip I've ever seen. I was like, you couldn't keep that a secret, brother.
But the other thing is that, like, in a movie that had real moments, they had some extremely fake moments that would take me out of it.
Yes,
and that was one of them because you could have still kept the scene the same and had him just tell her, and like he didn't think she would care.
Right.
And then she reacted. Like I gotta tell you something funny. Me and my boy bet that $1. You know how guys will sometimes say something and they don't realize.
And then she takes offense, even though he didn't.
And you could have kept the scene the same.
That would have been better.
That could have been him.
But who just
better.
Accidentally mentions a bet? Or that was just.
Also, I thought even with that sex scene, it just kind of made me laugh. I was like, if we're going to be in reality, these are two teenagers having sex. It is not looking this passionate, honey. And then
they did start them off.
They were awkward. They were
awkward at first, but then I was like,
it seemed like they started off awkward and then they got in there.
They figured it out a little bit.
I said, all right, we're setting people up for the ugly.
They got into
the 70s. Okay, let's see what's going on there.
I found her name, but I cannot find her birthday.
Wow.
I got her name is Cynthia Davis.
Okay.
Okay, let me just go birthday.
She probably quit TV.
Well, that's the thing.
Sometimes they took my virginity for $1 and I'm done.
Yep.
Sometimes you'll see these movies and you don't see the people anymore. They've been in one thing and that's it.
I think they start to realize, I assume, well, some of them can't find work, and then I think some are like, this is not for me. I'm good. But this was a fun thing I did at this moment.
All right, I can't. I can't. I think she must not have did much stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you all, I have.
But she did look old too.
She did.
Yeah. All of them.
She did.
Now, y'all, I was cracking up. The whole scene with the house party, it just made me laugh. I
actually really liked that scene.
It was so good when she said, do not knock this over. My mom is still making payments on it. I said every Black person understands that.
Yeah,
that
don't knock down the
almost
break front.
all of it. Don't mess up
the quarter party rang very true.
Yeah,
it was so perfect. Like,
and even the idiot who was gonna mess it all up for everybody.
When she said, "Don't you come in here fighting," and he's like, "I'm not gonna do it." He wasn't even in the party 1 minute.
Seconds.
Before he started being, I was just like, I said, and then I was like, okay, they're fighting, they're away from the thing. But when they got close, I remember screaming at the television, no, my mama's still making payments. She's
Mama's
gonna
still
be in
making
so
payments.
much trouble. She's gonna die.
Yes.
So it was just, I just remember feeling that when I watched. That was the one part that was ring true. Like, you're a kid and something just happens. And Janiyah actually fixed something I messed up one time when we were younger. I think I broke a curtain in
Oh, I
mommy and
remember
daddy's room. And she
I
rigged this
remember
thing.
I
rigged
remember that.
Because
so it can be up.
it would have went down. It
Would've
would have went down that
I
day.
remember that. I remember
I
that.
don't
That's
even
funny.
remember how I broke it, but Janiyah saved my life.
We might not have Brittany on this podcast today if we had not figured that out.
No, if she survived the bicycle incident, she'd have been okay. One day we'll tell y'all about that. We say all that to say we understood what was at stake with this
Listen,
thing being broken.
I don't even know how I would have said the party is not allowed in this room. I would
That
not
was the
have
whole
allowed the
apartment, though.
party. Exactly.
There was no
Like,
way.
we are dancing in the kitchen.
But you know, one thing is for sure, I wouldn't have let the troublemaker kid in. You know,
No
at
way.
all.
if I can
No
go and ask one character in this movie a question, oh, that's a good one. If y'all could ask a character in the movie a question, who would you ask a question, and what question would you ask? I would ask that chick, if you knew he was a troublemaker, and you knew, because you told everybody that your mom not gonna let you have no more quarter parties. If there's a fight, if there's confusion, if the break front, why would you let the troublemaker into your party? Why? And I was just like, everybody was having such a nice time. And she knew. He walked up to her and she said, don't come in here starting mess. You always start mess. Don't come in here starting mess.
It wasn't like every now and then. She said always. It's like, girl, don't let him in here.
I hope that's her life takeaway. Follow your instinct, girlfriend.
My question would be to the two quote unquote thugs. How old are you? Because I just was one. I was like, you all are clearly older than high school students in this movie. How old are you that you were trying to get into this high school party?
Or were they supposed to be high school students and they were also cast as too old?
Oh gosh, I didn't know.
I got the feeling that they were supposed to be older.
Because they were just older guys.
Yeah, they were just older guys.
Drug addicts, kind of, or something.
My question.
Well, not addicts, drug dealers.
Yeah.
They were
whatever they were into.
Physical representation, it seemed that they might have been.
They were into some stuff.
But yes.
But my question would have been to preach that when they came into the public place, why didn't he just stand up and say, hey, my teacher got us out. I didn't know nothing about it. We could go talk to him right now. And I think
now, bro, he did say that.
But he said it, but I felt like he said it too late. And it was like
he said it too late.
It was, as soon as he heard them say that, he should have just immediately
nipped it
in the butt. And not only that, they seemed very street smart.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, I wasn't street smart, but I would have known. Let's go to an alternate universe where I would have got into a stolen car, which I would not have. But
no,
which was another thing. I was
but what I'm saying is that I would know as soon as the teacher got us out that, yo, we need to be outside the jail when these dudes get out, so they know what happened.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
And we need to start telling everybody right now. Get the marketing out of the truth.
Yeah,
start the marketing plan.
I just don't. So for street smart kids who know what could possibly happen, that didn't connect for me.
No.
So,
and Glynn Thurman's character, Preach, he is there with an opportunity to tell Cochise, to give him a sense of, hey, they're out here looking for us and they're angry. And I've got some additional information you need to know that will help arm us. And he doesn't tell Cochise that it was the teacher that got them out, because he sees Cochise with
his ex,
one of his non-girlfriends.
And right after, and
which I was like, how are you?
So that was another thing, bro, where it's like your street smart should tell you about the stakes.
You recognize
how
the stakes.
important it is.
You recognize the stakes
to have that information.
So even if
you
he
all
was
need
mad,
to together right now go be on the marketing plan to get the truth out there. Yeah.
I just like even if you said it and left out mad, like look, you know, just tell him real quick and leave or something.
Yeah.
But like your friend for whole life, you know what's going on.
You know, these two dudes are a little crazy.
This leads me into the end of the movie that I felt like the scene where Cochise died could have been done better. The beating didn't seem like a death beating. I mean, I know he kind of like hit his head when he fell down, and maybe that's what they were trying to say, but I would have liked to see something like something more believable in the sense of
we're just so used to seeing really,
but that goes right back to what I was saying.
Yeah, it's like we're used to seeing death.
I wouldn't have wanted to be outlandish, but maybe at that time it was after. So
yeah.
And I will tell you guys, so what I watched it on when you were describing that, sis, I went, oh, they showed him get beat up. Whatever I watched it on, cut that beat up scene out. And all it was
it went right to the funeral.
Finding Cochise dead on the ground. You saw Preach running down the alleyway and you saw Cochise laying on the ground. And I said, I guess those two guys caught up to him.
They didn't show it.
They didn't
you were
show
watching
him
some
beat
kind
up.
of edited version.
I wasn't. I was just, so when you said it, I was like,
I wonder what else you missed.
Janai's embellishing things.
Sis, I wonder what else you missed.
Listen, I was like, and it made me think, I said, what else did I miss then? I said,
sis, let me hip you to the game because it wasn't just the two that beat him up. There was a third person there. And I'm going to let you guess who it was.
It was the troublemaker.
Troublemaker from the party. He was the one that hit the death blow.
Wow.
The three of them beat Cochise to death.
I bet I can find that YouTube.
And by the time we get to the scene, they have already been beating him. They're in the midst of the beating by the time we get to him. And then we see him hit his head and he crumbles to the ground. And
we knew, like when they had the fight, because first of all, I was like, when I saw the letter that he got in the school, I was like, oh, he's dead. And then when he got into the fight, I was like, oh, well, that's the guy who's going to kill him.
See, and and I think even if I would have seen the fight, I just felt like him dying was unnecessary for the movie. I know that death happens in the hood. That is a thing, right? But when I saw it, I was just like, is this really how we're ending this movie right now?
I think that I like the fact that because I like movies with real stakes. And I also like the message that they were putting across that one decision can lead to things going completely haywire.
Absolutely.
And don't get in the car. That was going to be my voting symbol as well when I thought about it. I was like, the car. I felt like the car was really what changed the whole movie.
Oh,
the
sis,
dynamic.
you should have said that. That's
all they did. That's all they did was get in the car. And then
the joyride.
And that part was funny too because Preach couldn't drive. And so that was
the joyride that
But hold on, and that was another thing that rang untrue to me.
Oh yeah.
Because
that was a very untrue scene.
Like
him driving.
Who's going to put a person who can't drive in a stolen car? Like
I could see two drug heads and two dumb high school kids doing that. But the part of it that became fake to me was when he was somehow good enough at driving to be able to outsmart the police. So in addition, all them letting someone who can't drive does seem like something some silly guys would do together. Because the stakes are low. You stole the car. It's not your car. You're just driving around. But
and the man
he
using
was
a
literally
forklift. I said, so you're just gonna keep
dodging the
go
police.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could vote. I think we could vote now.
Well, there's a nugget you need before we vote. Do y'all know the story of the writer of this movie, Eric Monte?
No.
You got to know. So the other thing about Cochise dying is that this movie was autobiographical for Eric Monte. So his life inspired it. I don't know if specifically he had a friend die, but it is his life that he grew up in Chicago. He left, always wanted to be a writer, and ended up becoming a writer. He was from Chicago, Illinois. He was raised in the Cabrini Green housing projects. And
those are famous.
They are. And during his junior year, he dropped out of Cooley Vocational High School and he enlisted in the United States Army. And after he came back from his stint in the Army, he hitchhiked to Hollywood. And what's so interesting, y'all, this is akin to Cochise. This is akin to Cochise getting the letter into school. You know, I'm gonna bring you up, then I'm gonna drop you down. So he hitchhikes to Hollywood. His first big break came after about 5 years. He wrote a television script that was accepted by the show All in the Family. Y'all know that show with Archie Bunker and everything. Well, and that show was produced by Norman Lear. Everyone knows the name Norman Lear. This is a lauded, super wealthy, very well-known producer and writer. He is attributed to like the creation of Good Times and the Jeffersons and all of these and What's Happening. And the truth is that those were ideas that he stole from Eric Monte. So, and in fact, the character George Jefferson that was the reason for the spinoff of the Jeffersons was a character that Monte created. And so Norman Lear stole these ideas, did not credit Eric Monte. Eric Monte ended up suing them, okay, because he had documentation and evidence that he created the Jeffersons. He created What's Happening. And he ended up only getting a $1 million settlement. And he gets a small percentage of the residuals from Good Times. But Norman Lear systematically had him blackballed in Hollywood because of the lawsuit. So wouldn't even let him go elsewhere in Hollywood and continue to be successful because he was obviously good. His ideas were winning ideas. And so eventually he fell on hard times. And, by 2003, he had a crack addiction, a drinking problem. He declared bankruptcy at some point. And by 2006, he found himself living in a Salvation Army homeless shelter in California. And so, we know now that he lives in Portland, Oregon, and there are accounts of him having a positive perspective on all of it. And so I want to name that he is okay, but he has also been robbed of his legacy. And he was robbed of the impact that he could have had. So if you have a day where you want to get angry, Google Eric Monte, Norman Lear, and you're going to read the story of this man who frankly didn't need the money because he was already at the kingpin, who just continued to steal from him. And so then you wonder, what else did you steal, Norman Lear? And it's one of these things of just that kind of corruption that if that had happened nowadays, it would have hit social media. There would have been some exposure. Somebody could have done some kind of informal whistleblowing that would have let us know, and that he would have had a chance for redemption and other opportunities. But back then, he couldn't tweet about it.
Yeah.
And it's like his word, a Black writer in Hollywood in the 70s against Norman Lear. it just makes me so pissed off. And I knew that before watching Cooley High.
Mm.
And so I think like that also for me
Colors, yeah.
It colored it because it made me cherish it in a way. And in knowing that that was the truth of his experience and how he ended up probably right back on streets, just like the ones he was depicting in the movie. I had an emotional connection with the movie even before I turned it on. So it's a sad story, y'all.
It is a very sad story, but it's as tale as old as time.
It is.
Beauty and the Beast. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, y'all, I wanted to get that nugget
song,
out
that was
there.
a song reference. But
But can you believe we made it through this whole episode? We didn't even really talk about I thought for sure we were going to talk about different worlds. Because that's all but for Glynn Turman.
Yeah. But
you're the different world man. Like I don't know what else he
that's how
done
we
in his
remember
life.
Yeah.
But
and Cochise is the black father in like everything.
He probably was a father when he was recording this thing. He probably had 33-year-old children when he was recording this movie. But anyway, so bro, you were taking us to vote, and I was I just want to get that little nugget in.
No, that was important. With this one, I really have been going back and forth. I won't watch this movie again, most likely. But I can see how it was the start of something.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I was in that theater in 1975, I probably would have been feeling it. And so normally I'm very simple. Like, do I like this movie? Do I love it? If I love it, I'll watch it again. It's a classic. With this one, I felt torn because I felt like I was missing it because I couldn't really.
Yeah.
But I could see what was happening at the same time. And I could see the ripples of this movie in every other hood movie. So ultimately, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's a classic. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's a classic.
So it gets
my corner. It's on a corner for me. And it's for those reasons. It's just, and yes, there was problematic stuff. I also, and I don't want to spin off, but there's things of, it's always the fair-skinned woman who's back then who's in the lead, and I go back and forth with that because she is Black too, but it still speaks to these things that we've dealt with our whole life, and so I had all these back and forth. But at the end of the day, I feel like it was an important movie, so I'm gonna go ahead and say it was a classic.
Bro, it looks like you went through some of the same internal arm twisting. Yeah, because part of me felt like this movie is so important to people.
Yeah.
It is important to the Black community. And it almost feels wrong to look at it with today's eyes and not understand the historical importance and context.
Yeah.
And I will also, so knowing Eric Monte's story, it makes it to me almost even more important that we recognize that we don't have as much output from that career and that beautiful mind that we should have. And so it makes me feel like, man, we got to cherish whatever he put out there. What if he had been able to continue to produce to now? Because he might, because obviously we look at some of the kinds, like when you think about the Jeffersons, you think about some of those characters, what's happening. We look at them now and we're like, okay, some of these things are problematic. But what might he have evolved to in our time if he had just been allowed to have his course of his career? So for those reasons, I am also going to give it a corner. It is out of respect for the movie that I'm giving it my corner, and we'll call it a classic for me. But I also want to say that if it did not have that context around it, there were enough moments that were untrue that they outweighed the many moments that were so truthful.
I was watching this movie and I was just like, all right, I can appreciate it for what it is. But you all know, for me, I deem something a classic if I'm going to go back and watch it. If I feel like, man, this is really something that I could see it giving me this same feeling over and over again. And the answer is no. Now, of course, with the context, I respect that. What's his name? Monte?
Eric Monte.
I'm so sorry, sir, that Norman Lear was a butthead. And some other names.
Many other names.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie does not get my corner. I can't give it a corner.
Have we ever had an instance where one of us tried to convince the other one to change their designation? Have we ever done that?
I don't know.
I kind of want to do that now.
No, we haven't. We've never done
I would like to introduce that paradigm because, sis, y'all,
this is a new
we haven't
segment.
done this before. Normally,
it's
respect the journey. That's why. That's why
new part alert. Now
our logo is a Venn diagram because we have three truths, and where they come together, that's the right perspective. But Britt, I just want to get into your bubble, bloop bloop, just a little bit, because the thought, like, if there ever came a day where somebody just listed out all of the movies that have been reviewed by the Wright Perspective.
Did she just sip?
And we don't
I'm waiting to be convinced.
And we don't have Cooley High as a classic. Won't we be somehow not? We are a Black podcast. Okay. How can we not show respect to a movie like Cooley High? Now, if you just sit back and think, if you're sitting around with any group of Black people and you say, what are the movies that every Black person needs to see? There's about 10 that will always come up in every single conversation.
Sure.
Cooley High is going to be one of them. It is a movie that is important. And I think that the experience of people, the experience that was portrayed in that movie, that life experience, is something that even to this day, we struggle to see it on small and large screen in a way that is truthful and not disrespectful or tropish or over-indexing on stereotypes or making us cringe. And so, sis, my number one, how can the Wright Perspective not show respect to Cooley High?
Well, I've heard you plead your case.
Bro, do you want to get in on this with me? Are you entering this new segment?
Get in
a new segment.
Look,
help me convince Brittany to change his mind.
Listen, I think he doesn't even have to. He can say something, but he doesn't even have to say anything. Because you know what? You had me at Black people. I stand in solidarity with my people. Listen, we be strong and wrong. OJ didn't do it. No,
people, you are witnessing. You are witnessing.
Whoa.
Listen,
you. I'm not gonna talk about OJ thing, but you are witnessing a flip of a vote. This is the first time the Wright Perspective where somebody fought for a movie.
What did Issa Rae say?
And now
I'm rooting for everybody.
And we're doing something else for the first time because I'm gonna say that Cooley High is a classic from the Wright Perspective.
Yes, I love it. Oh, we are shaking it up in 2021.
Those two first.
Look at season 2. It's full of surprises. No one
you
knows
don't know what's
coming.
Gonna happen. You don't know
we don't even know.
That's right. Because you know what it is, Brittany. You know what it is, don't you?
What is it? Listen, life
is it, Brittany?
jazz. Life is jazz. I've been trying to tell people this for years.
Give it
Brittany,
bop, bop.
you got it through to me, Brittany. That sometimes you gotta bebop and scat.
That's it.
You know,
Zoobada down.
yes.
All right, you all, thank you for joining us. Season 2 is full of surprises. Join us for more surprises in the next episode of The Wright Perspective. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good
night,
night, everybody.
Roses.
Love y'all. I love y'all.